Kia ora, and welcome to the What Inspired Me Today podcast, a podcast created to inspire you to be the very best that you can be. My name is Stephen Matthew, and this is what inspired me today. Kia ora, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. It is an honor and a privilege to be speaking with you today. On this week's podcast, I wanted to take a quote from Confucius, and he says this: "There is one word which may serve as a rule of practice for all one's life: reciprocity." In this week's podcast, I wanted to talk about this concept of reciprocity and why it is so important, because we cannot succeed in life without having it. We cannot grow further. We cannot move further. We cannot be of benefit to other people without engaging in this practice. Reciprocity is the practice of exchanging things with others in order for mutual benefit. It would seem that this should go without saying, but the golden rule, treat others how you would like to be treated, isn't something that is practiced altogether that often, even though we are taught it from a young age. The idea of reciprocity is not for one's own advantage. The difference here is when people give and take mutually and reciprocally in order to benefit each other. So what this means is that as I give to you, you give back to me in equal measure. Now, if it is not an equal measure, then at some point there's going to be a deficit. And eventually, if this deficit continues to go on for longer and longer periods of time, this will lead to an unhealthy relationship. It will lead to loss, and it will lead to heartache and disappointment. Because when you think about it, this act of reciprocity is not just between two individuals. This is a law of the universe and how all of nature works. Because nothing can be given without something else being received in equal measure. So, for example, when we look at the water cycle, when a cloud is saturated with water, it will eventually precipitate down as rain. That rain will feed the ground, and when the ground becomes full, it will saturate out into streams that flow into rivers that flow into the ocean, and then that top layer of the water on seas and oceans will evaporate back into the atmosphere to become clouds again. It is a cycle. There is no give without some take. It has to be done in equal measure. When it is not done in equal measure, that's when problems arise. So, for example, in that same water cycle, if you got more rain than is being evaporated, you're going to get flooding. If there is more water that evaporates than is being precipitated, then you get drought. See how this works? Everything in the universe works in this reciprocal nature. So the question that I want to ask you in the same line of thinking is, where do you fall on the reciprocal line? So what I mean by that is this: how reciprocal are you with your friendships? How reciprocal are you with the people that you work for? How reciprocal are you in your family? How reciprocal are you in every aspect of your life? In some points in our life, we're going to have to take more than we give. In other points of our life, we are able to give out of the abundance that we have. But it has to be reciprocal in some way, shape, or form. Because if we continue to give without taking anything back, we're going to be burnt out. But if we continue to take without giving anything back, then we are going to deprive others of that mutual benefit. If they succeed, we succeed. If we succeed, they succeed. So my question to you this week is this: what feeds you? Where do you get your energy from? Where do you get your joy from? What brings you to life? What feeds you? And on the other side of that coin, what do you feed? Where do you give back as much as you take? Are you giving your all into your work? Are you giving your all into your friendships? Are you giving your all into the people that you love around you, and maybe even people you don't necessarily love? Where are you being fed, and what are you feeding? Because whatever you feed, it will grow. So the question is, what are you feeding? If you're on your cell phone, what algorithms are you feeding? Are you looking up things that you should not look up? Are you feeding into an algorithm that then feeds right back at you? Because all of us know this. Whatever we're looking up, whatever amount of time and energy and investment that we're putting into, we get it right on back. And we all know this inherently, because if we go on our Instagram, if we go on our Facebook, if we go on our social media accounts, the things that we see are there because the algorithm has learnt what we want to be fed with. So the question becomes, what are we feeding ourselves with our time, our money, our investment? Everything that we put into, we will get out of. So the question therefore becomes, what feeds you and what are you feeding? Whatever we put in, we get out. What are you growing today? Every single day, what are you putting into so that it will grow? Are you putting time and effort and energy into the things of value? Are you trying to grow good things in your life? Or are you investing in bad things? What is your, if you want to put it into business terms, what is your ROI, your return on investment? The best return on investment is when there is reciprocity. When you give, you can take back in equal measure. I love my friendships with those that I deeply care about because I know I'm putting my all into that friendship. I know that my relationships that I have, not only in my relationships with my wife or my family members, but every relationship that I garner, I know, because it is a rule of mine, to put as much effort as I can so that I can reap a benefit out of it as well. Not for selfish gains, but in order so that there is mutual benefit to both parties. So let me finish with this. As Confucius says, this is the one word which might serve as a practice for all of your life. Let me challenge you in this coming week. Where can you practice reciprocity? Where can you give in the same manner in which you take? Where can you give back out of your abundance? And where can you take when you need it? See, we are all social creatures. We are all supposed to have a support network so that when we are down, we have someone else that can lift us up. But that can only happen with reciprocity. So, this week, practice reciprocity. Give as much as you take and take as much as you give so that everyone thrives, so that the whole tide may lift up all boats. With that said, have a great week.